What's up everyone, welcome back to another What If video. Last week, I put up a poll asking which What If you guys wanted me to continue next, and the one with the most votes was to continue the What If Goku went to Vampa after Namek. Looking back at the poll now, it actually got surpassed by What If Gohan and Goten were twins, but the time I took the results, this one was in the lead, so I'm going to stick with this one. Maybe I'll continue that one next after this. Last time, we got to see Beerus awaken and make his journey to Earth to find the Super Saiyan God. He was a challenge for everyone, and we got to see Broly use his full power finally, as well as Vegeta revealing his new form, Wrathful Super Saiyan, where he mixed the Wrathful form with the Super Saiyan form, basically making a new version of Super Saiyan 4, which a lot of you seem to be pleased with. However, Broly's full power and Vegeta's new form weren't enough, and understandably, Beerus still wanted to find a true rival. He hadn't found the Super Saiyan God yet. After summoning Shenron, the group found out the ritual to create a Super Saiyan God, and I left it up to a poll to decide who gets the form. With that out of the way, let's get into the next part. We left off with the group deciding who to give the form to. The options on the poll were Broly, Vegeta, Gohan, and Goku, and surprisingly, Goku won by a decent amount of votes. Considering he got the form originally, I honestly expected him to have the least amount of votes since it's something we've seen before. But it's nice to see you guys are keeping me on my toes with your unique suggestions, because you guys had a reasoning behind this. A lot of you wanted to say that Goku got the form because Goku was the weakest of the main Saiyans, other than Paragus and the kids of course, but you guys wanted to see him get ahead, and this form was the perfect way to do that. Vegeta has his new form, Gohan was strong already, and Broly was already way powerful, but didn't have control over it, so he wouldn't really have the control needed to have the Super Saiyan God form. And with all of those suggestions in mind, it seems like Goku was the majority's choice. Goku was also able to master the other forms easily, primarily Super Saiyan 1, so maybe he'll be able to do the same with this new power. Alongside that, he is the weakest of the group, and doing this would give him a nice boost in power and catch him up to everyone else. The group gathers together to decide who gets the form. They realize Broly's strong but he lacks control, and Gohan is strong and has control, but the group fears it might not work on him since he's only a half Saiyan, and they don't want to risk it in case it angers Beerus that they can't unlock the form on the first try. And then there's Vegeta, but he'd rather focus on controlling this new form instead of being handed a new one that he'd have to juggle with. There's no pride in that. He'd rather earn the form on his own instead of having it handed to him by some ritual. Besides, how powerful can this new form be? More powerful than Wrathful Super Saiyan? He doubts it. He suggests instead that they give it to Goku so he can catch up with the group in terms of power, and the group agrees. Vegeta, Gohan, Broly, Goten, and Trunks form a circle and channel their energy into Goku. Minor point, but Videl doesn't have to reveal that she's pregnant because they have enough Saiyans. Actually, more than enough. Goku is lifted into the air as his energy soars, and he descends back down looking pretty much the same, except his eyes and hair are a pinkish red color now. However, what he lacks for in his change in appearance, he makes up for in his change in power. Goku is far beyond everyone else now, even where Broly was moments ago with full power, or Vegeta with Wrathful Super Saiyan. Beerus and Whis are definitely able to tell that this is, indeed, the Super Saiyan God form that Beerus dreamt of, and the fight between Beerus and Goku commences. It goes pretty similarly to normal, except this time, Beerus didn't promise to destroy the planet, since there's no Boo around this time, and it goes a lot more smoothly than the original. To be honest, there's nothing really to cover here, since it ends pretty much like the movie itself. After this, we have some time in between the Battle of Gods arc and Resurrection F, with Goku and Vegeta training on Beerus' planet, alongside Broly being there as well. Occasionally, Gohan does come to visit as well, since Broly's encouragement and his whole childhood being changed basically gives him motivation to train this time around, but unlike the other three Saiyans, he's not going to be there 24/7. Vegeta is there to unlock Super Saiyan God for himself, as well as training to perfect the new Wrathful Super Saiyan form he showed off in the last part. While he didn't want to be handed the Super Saiyan God form, he still does want to achieve it, but by his own means, not just some ritual. Even though his Wrathful Super Saiyan form is powerful, he never expected how powerful Super Saiyan God actually was and how far above it is, and he wants to pursue that now. Broly on the other hand is there mainly because of Whis' interest in him. Whis was interested in the power Broly showed on Earth, as he became way stronger than he was in his base form, but he had no way to control it. He learns of Broly's other forms and how training with people like Goku helped him to control Super Saiyan and his Wrathful form, but now Broly's actually scared to become a Super Saiyan again. If you remember back to when we reached the Cell Saga in this scenario, Broly actually did learn how to become a Super Saiyan, but was nervous to use the form since he was scared of losing control like he did in the Time Chamber. He ended up facing his fears against Cell, and he was able to actually control Super Saiyan, But after his fight with Beerus, he realizes that he may have not been able to control it as well as he thought. When you think back, the only time Broly has been under stress in this scenario, or in a perilous situation, was when fighting Cell. In the Buu Saga, or the fraction of it that happened, the only real threat was Deborah, who was weak in comparison, and he wasn't even up against Broly. It was pretty peaceful since Cell, and Beerus was the only one who actually pushed Broly to use more power, which made him lose control and go full power for once. Whis knows this now and wants to actually train Broly to control this power, as well as make him stronger in general. He might not be ready for the calming power of Super Saiyan God yet, but he can definitely control what he has currently and build upon that. So while Goku and Vegeta train to surpass Super Saiyan God, the only true goal for Broly now is to actually go Super Saiyan 2, so he could further control his power as Super Saiyan, and then probably ease into his full power. Gohan is in the same situation he was from my what if about him training after Buu. He only visits occasionally since he's still a pretty busy guy, but he gets some decent training in when he visits this planet. He does unlock Super Saiyan God, and since he was the first to use Super Saiyan 2 as well as being the most proficient with it, he helps Broly unlock Super Saiyan 2 for himself. Meanwhile, the remains of the Frieza Force end up going to Earth to gather the Dragon Balls and do some recon. They want to revive Frieza. They eventually do that and they bring him back to full health. It was pretty simple. Frieza's now back and he's ready to exact his revenge. And the Frieza Force fills him in on the intel they have. There are 4 Saiyans on Earth, with a few hybrid Saiyans as well. 2 are obviously Goku and Vegeta, and the other one is an elderly Saiyan who doesn't seem like much trouble, and then there is his son, but they couldn't really gather any data on him since he's been off planet. But knowing how weak his father is, they don't suspect Broly to be that big of a threat. As for the half Saiyans, 2 of them are kids and the other one is a professor now who doesn't seem to be training, at least not on Earth. And with no Majin Buu, there hasn't really been any showcase of this full power of the Saiyans on Earth recently, other than Goku's fight with Beerus. So the Frieza Force is greatly underestimating all the Saiyans now. Frieza is delighted to hear this. All these monkeys in one place, and they're all weak. He's confident he can handle them with a little bit of that disgusting thing they call training. Like normal, he begins training and he gets his golden form, and then he proceeds to head to Earth thinking it's going to be some sort of cakewalk, but he's badly mistaken. He arrives on Earth to see what Z-Fighters are on the Earth waiting for him, and they fight off his army, and then he eventually goes off against Gohan first since he's the strongest one there at the moment. But given how strong Gohan is in the scenario, he only needs to be in base right now to fight Frieza in his final form, kinda like Goku did in the original movie. Frieza is surprised that one of the Saiyans is this strong, and it's not Goku either, and he may have underestimated them. No worry though, he goes golden and he's able to get the upper hand on Gohan. Goku, Vegeta, and Broly then arrive, and meet up with Gohan, who's just toying with Frieza until they got here. He got a gauge of his power from the little bit of fighting that they did, and he knows this golden form would be some serious threat, but Frieza doesn't realize that they all have been training really well and have gotten new forms. This might be a good test for that new power they unlocked. It angers Frieza that they're not taking this seriously, but then that anger turns to fear as he watches the group collectively transform before him. This isn't really a fight for them. It's more of an opportunity for the group to show their power and actually test it out, since they all outclass Frieza at this point. Goku, Gohan, and Vegeta all power up, and all 3 of them actually turn into Super Saiyan Blue out of nowhere. And for those who have watched my what if about Gohan training after Buu, and how I said the situation here is similar for him, you may think it's odd that I'm giving Gohan Super Saiyan Blue in this what if, but not in that one. But an important distinction is that this time he doesn't have his ultimate form, so instead of like that what if where he's training to combine his God form with ultimate, he just jumped right to Super Saiyan Blue because he doesn't really have anything else to combine with Super Saiyan God. Broly, who has a God Ki already but not any God forms, instead powers up to a different form, and this form is Super Saiyan 2, although it looks different than what anyone would have expected. This version of Super Saiyan 2 kinda looks like what you'd get with Kefla or Kale, where it looks like a mix of legendary Super Saiyan and normal Super Saiyan 2. Broly has the same yellow eyes he had before, but he's surrounded with electricity now. He has green hair. He has his full power under control now, and he was able to turn it into his own version of Super Saiyan 2, giving him a massive leap in power compared to before, and allowing him to keep up with people like Goku, Gohan, and Vegeta in their normal God forms, and almost matching up with Super Saiyan Blue. The group wants to decide now who fights Frieza, with Broly being the one who ends up going. They do the normal game of rock, paper, scissors, and Broly wins, so he ends up being the one that wants to fight. He flies towards Frieza, who's now scared senseless seeing the size of this new Saiyan. Remember, Broly at full power was about 9'10", nearly twice Frieza's size, so Frieza's definitely not going to underestimate him anymore. And this fight goes pretty poorly for Frieza, obviously. Broly beats on him pretty well, as Frieza becomes too tired to defend himself or fight back, even in his golden form. He prolongs it a bit before actually becoming tired, just because, you know, he's naturally durable. But Broly also grows stronger while fighting Frieza, and he reaches the point where Frieza's too tired to do anything, and Broly's too strong for Frieza to even handle. Not wanting to make the same mistake he did with Cell, he takes the opportunity and uses his full power to let out a blast from his mouth that kills Frieza. After what Cell did to Broly when he didn't use his full power to kill him, Broly isn't taking any chances this time and wants to make sure he actually kills Frieza and doesn't give him a chance to do anything like, oh, I don't know, maybe blowing up the planet. It was kind of an underwhelming fight and a pretty uneventful arc, and the other three didn't really get to test their power at all, but Broly won for rock, paper, scissors fair and square. While I do wish it was more eventful, I don't see this arc being really that impactful overall because of how powerful everyone is and how little of a threat Frieza would be. But really, this is just a showcase of what their training has actually done for them. But even though that might have been a bit of an underwhelming fight, we have the Universe 6 arc next, which we'll save for the next part, and there we'll actually be able to see some interesting fights. What did you think about this part, and what do you think will happen next time? How will the tournament itself go? Comment your suggestions below as we prepare for the next part, and as always, remember to like the video and subscribe, as well as hit the bell icon for notifications about future parts of this What If and other videos that I make. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.